Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the episodic discussion of Dead Rising. We're going to talk about this zombie-filled series with my cast here. Here we have the first guest, which is Mr. Bane for you.
Hello, everybody. This is a very long time since I've been on here.
Next we have Hades Manticore.
Hello, big Dead Rising fan. Here to talk about it.
Next we have Antihero.
Hello, I like Dead Rising as well.
And of course, Brandon is beating up kids, so we have to exclude him for the time being. But I am your host, Renegade Operative, and let's get right into the mix. So we're going to start with question number 1. That is, what is your overall first experience with the Dead Rising franchise? How did you get introduced to the series? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
All right.
I bought the first one on launch day after seeing trailers about it, and generally just being excited for basically Dawn of the Dead, a video game. So,
What about you, Hades?
The first overall thing I saw of Dead Rising was that I think it was an E3 trailer back in like 2006, I think, where it just basically showed off the core concepts of the game, where you could pick up this chair and swing it, pick up this bench, throw it at them. And from there, I grabbed it for my 360 since it was actually a pretty solid launch title. It was a launch title, right?
it was right about a year after
Oh, well.
launch was 05.
My first experience was playing the first one. I think my brother, he had it on 360, so I managed to play the game. I really enjoyed it. It was unique because it felt like, this semi-open world scenario where you can go like in a mall and you can go outside and do all this crazy shit with zombies, and I really enjoyed it. I didn't play the later games until they got ported to PS3 because Dead Rising was always an Xbox franchise, so I never got the chance to really play all the other DLCs. I saw the first DLC, which was K0, and I was hooked onto it from there. Then I found out that Capcom was going to make a port of Dead Rising 2 on the PS3, so I picked that up. I really enjoyed it, and I got into the series from there. Really fun, zombie-oriented, over-the-top series. A lot of people tend to make these parallels with it in Resident Evil, and I don't think those correlate at all. I think that Rising is over-the-top fun that you can do. You could dress as a fucking woman or a guy in a mankini and chop a zombie in half. It doesn't get any better than that. So, Mr. Antihero, what is your experience with Dead Rising?
I got introduced when it came out. I had a friend of mine playing it. I like the concept and all, but I didn't own it until like 4 years later when I got a job and bought an Xbox 360. I got Dead Rising, and yeah, that's how I got introduced. Like I played it. Yeah, it was a little tough at first, but it's something you have to get used to later on.
Alright, that's good enough. I think Brandon's still busy. But we're going to move on to question number 2. Considering how Dead Rising 4 was received so poorly, what do you think the underlying problem was behind its immediate downfall? This is a good question, actually.
I'll go first. Problem was the linearity, I think. I'll make a good analogy. The mall was the best part of this game so far, well, out of Dead Rising 4. And you're in the story for like 30 minutes. And everything else is in the town of Willamette. And it took me 4 hours to beat the game. Which, I think is a problem with how the story was the main focus, not the gameplay. I don't know if I'm wording that properly. It felt like it was rushed, you know?
I think the main issue is, in particular, they did so many things and they cut out so many concepts and tried to fix certain things that it just didn't work in progress. I mean, the stuff they did with the psychopaths where they made them like regular civilians and the game seemed super easy, and then a lot of the resources that they used, it wasn't made to be that interesting or compelling. Like, I was watching the trailers and I saw, like, Frank can be this giant mech robot, and I'm like,
Yeah,
doesn't that make the
exosuits.
game, like, piss easy if you do stuff like this? I know it's over the top, but still, it's stuff like that that makes me wonder. Like, I don't think they were really thinking too clearly when it came to what was the essence of a core Dead Rising game because so much stuff was changed.
Well, a quick reply to that. I think they did really well with Dead Rising 3 with a lot of those aspects. You know, you had the psychopaths in that game, which were somewhat optional, but they were intriguing. They had more of a character to them than Dead Rising 4 psychopaths, which were, as you said, pretty much just people you'd run into and then kill and walk away from.
And also, they changed up Frank West as well because he's so different and he's not as compelling. Well, he was not super compelling as a character, but you still resonated with who he was. This is just like barnyard, preschool jokes that he's making about mini golf, and from what I seen, it just didn't appeal to me. So the story was out of the window. It was kind of awkward. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
It was kind of like if Joss Whedon wrote Frank West, to be honest, and it's just ugh.
It feels like if you typed in a template for generic action hero and put all the appropriate elements for Frank West in, you would have generated that Frank West, I think.
Yeah.
Probably the script.
Super stereotypical. The guy didn't really catch on to me, and also they changed the actor for some weird reason, even though he's in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, which was weird, so I didn't get that at all.
Yeah, it was TJ for Infinite, right? Yeah, wow.
Yes.
Yep.
Huh. There was this theory going in, and a lot of people, I saw it on different image boards and all that. They were basically expecting this to be like a fake game, where it was like a film being shot based off of his life or something. And that was everybody was rumoring until the game came out, and then it turned out the game's story was real. So, yeah.
Unfortunate, really.
Ooh.
Hey, Brandon, what do you think about Dead Rising 4 being a crap game? What led up to this?
Oh, well, simple, Ren. We're going back to roots. This is Frank West going back to roots.
Oh, yeah, Capcom always does this with Resident Evil, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. Vancouver made it worse. At least Resident Evil 7 sold.
Damn.
Well, I would say Resident Evil 7... Okay. This is the Resident Evil 6 of the series. Dead Rising 4 is the Resident Evil 6 of the series, I think.
Oh, man.
Resident Evil 6 sold too, though.
Yeah, it sold.
Oh, yeah.
I
Behind 5, that's the highest selling game in the franchise, so...
I will say the game has misconceptions, just like Dead Rising 4 did, but it doesn't have the sales backing it.
Which is weird, because Dead Rising 3 sold quite well. I don't know if it was just because it was a launch game or what.
It's probably because it was only on Xbox, because the other ones did become multiplayer after a certain point, so, I mean, it's anyone's guess, honestly.
That and decent advertising, because I remember the trailers, and they looked really good.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I don't think Dead Rising 4 is going to sell very well on PS4 when it comes out.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I mean, heck, people say, no, let's stay on the other platform.
I mean, you guys can have it. You guys can take it as long as you want.
Frank Small package?
Frank,
that title is so dumb.
Yeah, why not just call it, Dead Rising 4
Holiday Spirit
Edition or something? Because it comes with all the DLC, which 1 is a big fuck you to everybody that bought it before, and 2 is also weird because they're not putting out that edition on Xbox at all.
Really?
Yeah, there's no SKUs for Frank's big package on Xbox One.
That's really shitty.
It's like an update or something.
Well, no,
all
the DLC is still paid for. It's just the Frank's big package comes with all the DLC.
It kind of reminds me of Tomb Raider. Remember that?
Yeah. Well, Definitive Edition came out on. Oh, the Rise of Tomb Raider. Yeah.
Yeah. Rise of Tomb Raider.
That also felt weird because I would have bought that edition, but then again, Tomb Raider started on PS4. That's. Yeah.
You mean PlayStation in general?
Well, technically, it's Saturn though, but it became popular on PlayStation.
Yeah.
Somebody owns Saturn. Let's not talk about Saturn.
The Saturn is dead.
Console.
Let's get that out of the way.
Hey, remember
I love Nights into Dreams.
No.
But anyway, we're
Sega
diverging.
Saturn podcast when?
We're
Actually, yes.
maybe someday.
I will pay for that.
But we're gonna move on to question number 3. What is your favorite and least favorite game of the Dead Rising franchise?
That's easy.
Okay.
Okay.
Go on, sir.
Yeah, you go first.
Who, me? Okay.
You.
Okay, well, for the ones I play, I would say 2 is my favorite, and my least favorite will definitely be 4. Because while some things in the game were generally good, I will admit that. Overall, the whole package, no pun intended, is so far compared to the other games.
I've played them all. I have the unfortunate, I made the unfortunate decision to buy Chop Till You Drop, so that's gonna be my least favorite. And my favorite's possibly Case West, which is very weird to say that a side story is my favorite, but I liked how they did things, and it was a very fun co-op game. So
I still haven't played that on Case West yet.
both Case Zero and Case Quest are backwards compatible on Xbox One, which is actually one of the nice things I found out, because I found out in the making of this. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, I was like, oh hey, and I was looking through, gonna re-download Dead Rising 3, and suddenly it was there, so I downloaded them.
Favorite for me would definitely be Off the Record. I know it's a non-canon game, but I think it really made Dead Rising 2 like even better. And least favorite's obviously 4. Never played Chop Till You Drop though, I will be honest.
Oh, you are lucky.
I didn't have a Wii, so
I gotta check that out now. Jesus. Okay.
Well, just look at footage of it. It's a wonderful time.
I haven't actually, like, I think I heard of the game, but I thought about it, and I'm like, how in the hell are they gonna make all these zombies, like, show up on the Wii? It's very intensive, you know?
Oh, they don't.
They don't?
No.
Anyway, like, my favorite Dead Rising game would be definitely Off the Record. I mean, it's Dead Rising 2, but more. You have Frank West, you have, like, crazy new combo weapons, bosses. The story is fit around Frank West. That's pretty cool. The least favorite would definitely be 4. Something tells me that even though I didn't play it, I'm going to have a bad time. I have it on my PC. I'm probably going to pop it in pretty soon. But from what I saw of Satilius fighting a psychopath, he literally stood there, aim-botted, shot him in the head, and the AI did not know how to react. So I think I'm going to have a pretty bad time.
Maniac AI in 4 is terrible, I will be honest.
It's so bad. I don't even know how they fucked it up so bad.
Yeah, it's like, in general, they had a good concept, and there's a question in here which I really want to get to, but I don't know how they fucked it up so bad, so that looks like the worst game in the series.
I would say so if it wasn't for the fact that I played for Shop.
I will try that soon, sir.
Get liquor first. That's all I'm gonna say.
Alright, so you, Anti-Hero, what's your favorite and least favorite?
Fun.
This is number 4. No, number 3.
Okay. Well, favorite obviously is number 2, because they improve a lot from the first one with the combo cards and in the setting in Las Vegas. It was amazing when it came out at the time. I love it. Like, it's my top favorite. Least favorite is 4, even though I haven't played it. But I heard that, like Brandon says, we're gonna start from the roots. Well, apparently the roots are not there. The spirit of Dead Rising is not there. So, but I might try it later on. But like Grant said, I won't have a good time either.
We're all gonna have a bad time, and the people who had a bad time had an even worse time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Alright, so moving on to question number 4. Considering how Dead Rising was all about over-the-top wacky moments, what was the most ridiculously great moment you've experienced in the series? For me, I would say fighting that clown. that caught me off guard, because I was like, okay, this fucking guy has like 2 chainsaws. He can blow up balloons and blow you up, and he has dead people on a carnival. the psychopaths really just create these wacky scenarios that you really can't take them seriously. I remember there was a clown on stilts and Off the Record, and I was like, what the fuck is this?
Evan. It's
Yeah.
Adam's brother, actually.
Yeah, so
Adam's-
I remember
yeah.
that. I remember that. So I would say that those fighting those clowns, man, they were hilariously great moments, as well as when I discovered that you can make the character wear a dress, and I was like, okay, so and there was a trophy that I got for doing that, so I was like, okay, good job, Capcom, excellent.
Cross-dresser.
Yeah. Anyone
Um,
else have any moments?
There's one from Dead Rising 3. There's a couple of the psychopaths that I love the ending scenes for. There's the sex pervert one, which I'm not going to spoil anything about that one. Anybody who's seen that, you'll love the ending. And the wheelchair lady who dies by throwing up, slipping on her wheels, and crashing.
Darling,
Oh, yeah, I
good
remember.
lord.
I could not stop laughing for about 5 minutes after that. I was busting out.
It was sad but funny.
It was hilarious.
It's kind of hard to pick a singular moment in Dead Rising because it's all like just so over the top and
There's
insane.
so much
but
stuff where it's like, yeah, I don't know if I can just pick that.
I would probably, if I had to pick outside of Adam's death where he falls on his own chainsaws, I would probably pick Chapman just because he just screams at you like a lunatic when you come into his little store and just goes so over the, and
Oh,
just
yeah.
really, really chews the scenery in that scene. It makes it just the best.
This is my store.
I love the theme song as well.
Oh yeah, it's great actually.
Trying to vandalize my store, huh? Yeah, absolutely
Well-
great.
Well, my favorite part has to be the first one, like at the end, because after you beat the final boss, freaking Frank just starts screaming like, "Wah!" Like that was like the hypest thing ever. Like okay, but it was funny. I always like that part, and always will be my favorite part.
What about you, Sir Brando? Oh, he's muted. He's dead. All right.
Oh,
So
boy.
I guess his favorite moment is putting on the Blanca mask and electrocuting zombies. that was
Yeah,
pretty
that's fun too.
So
or
we're
be
gonna.
Toy Mega Man Blaster. There you go.
I remember the toys, man. They did like no damage. It was always funny to me.
You could actually get them though, like the real versions. I loved getting those. Which
Yeah.
actually does lead into the next question now that I think about it.
Yes, it does. So number 5, what is your favorite unlockable weapon and hand-to-hand move from the Dead Rising series? First,
I just spoiled mine, sorry.
oh Brandon, you muted. So did you answer number 4 yet?
No, I didn't. I just got back actually.
Go ahead.
All right, what's the question though?
It is, considering how Dead Rising was about over-the-top wacky moments, what was your most favorite ridiculous great moment from the series?
That is a good question actually. The fact that Frank West is a zombie in Dead Rising 4.
Oh,
What was that?
Hmm.
Oh God.
I'll get into that one later.
yeah, that's gonna come up later. But for question number 5, like, what is your favorite unlockable weapon and hand-to-hand move?
Yeah, Mega Buster, because blonde people.
Yep.
Also,
So
correct
far,
me if I'm
two for
wrong,
Mega
but isn't the Z Saber an unlockable weapon?
Yes.
The
yes.
real laser sword? Yes. Yes, it is. I would say the real laser sword is my favorite, and my favorite hand-to-hand is the disemboweler when he pulls out the zombie's guts. It's even funnier when you do it in Dead Rising Off the Record and he makes these little jokes like, hey, free gastric bypass, and it's so fucking hilarious. It's like funny. It's funny as shit.
Do you have the one where you can kind of climb on top of the zombies and jump off of them, hand-to-hand move?
That's the
Can't
well,
remember the name of that one.
it's a move. It's definitely
Zombie
a move.
walk?
Yeah, zombie walk. Yeah.
Yep, that's probably my favorite. It's most useful.
What about
I-
your favorite weapon, Bane?
I already said it earlier.
Oh, the
Mega
laser
Blaster.
sword. Oh, Mega Blaster. Okay.
Oh yeah, it's so much
Mega-
fun.
What about you,
Mega
Antihero?
Buster.
You?
Mega Buster, obviously, it's just fun trying to be like Mega Man, especially with the custom in there.
Oh
Definitely.
yeah. Well, no, that's where you wear like the schoolgirl outfit with a Mega Blaster.
Oh,
All right. Anyone else didn't go yet?
My favorite weapon in Dead Rising, my favorite was always knife gloves, which were like Bowie knives taped to boxing gloves, and
That's from 2. Yep.
yeah, 2 off the record and 3. Shreds
Alright.
zombies, shreds bosses really well, and my favorite hand-to-hand move would probably be the flash kick that you can do with Frank. It's great.
That is
That's
pretty great.
Oh yeah, the somersault gal kick. I remember that. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Basically, yeah.
I like that as well. I always use that just to decapitate them.
All right, here we go. So
actually, I got a question.
Go on.
I don't think it's on the list though, but what is your favorite Capcom reference in Dead Rising?
Jill's
Oh, Jill
sandwiches.
sandwiches.
Jails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jail
that or
sandwiches.
Dante in Dead Rising 4, because he actually looks pretty fun.
oh
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
he's in. I forgot about that.
The freaking
Uh,
trailer.
I like the Mega Man stuff because I played Mega Man a lot as a kid. So seeing like costumes for Proto Man and Mega Man was pretty cool, as well as using the real Mega Buster with the Mega Man costume. I thought that was dope. I wish there was more like, I don't know if they have like Monster Hunter stuff for Dead Rising, but I wish it was more Monster Hunter references. But that would be pretty cool, maybe in a future game.
So here's hoping.
Yeah, here's hope, but it's in a document later.
Here's hoping this series even has a
Yeah.
future, basically.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That leads into the next question. So, there's the opinion that people think that the Dead Rising series should die after Dead Rising 4. What is your opinion on this and the future of the series? What do you think should be done with it?
Can I go first, real quick?
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, now I'll be honest with you. With the current development team of Vancouver, the series does need to die because he's proven that they're incompetent and they don't know what roots means when it comes to Dead Rising.
I agree with this.
If they get new people that should know what to do with the franchise, then yes, I will see it continue. But 4 is like, it's amazing how low it became. I'm just saying.
I think what they need to do is a complete makeover. They need to definitely, they say they want it to go back to roots, but they haven't. So if this is the case, they definitely need to go back to the drawing board and realize what roots mean in terms of going back to a franchise and discovering what made it fun. Keeping new concepts with what sticks and what doesn't is very important, as well as adding in new additions. Like, I think the dumbest thing ever is when they started to regress the Dead Rising series with 4, because that's when they started to take out stuff like co-op, and I was like, what are you guys doing? Like, it's a multiplayer component they have now, and it's not the same as the story co-op that they took out of Dead Rising 4. So it's really weird.
I don't think this series should die. I think they need to look at what made 1 good, what made 2 good, and what made 3 good, and work on those concepts. 3 was, I think, a good mix of new stuff and like 1 and 2. It took the features those games had, worked on them, made them a lot better, and tried to do more of its own thing. But Dead Rising 4 basically took all the goodwill I think that game had and flushed it down the toilet.
Pretty much.
The exosuits, you know, I hate to say it like this, but COD did exosuits better than Dead Rising 4 did.
Wow.
Uh,
It's took that
ironically, they did zombies with exosuits better than Dead Rising 4 did.
Yeah, I think to add on to that, I think I don't want the series to die, but it needs a complete, 180. They need to completely turn around, fix what they need to fix, and then come back to this franchise, maybe in the future, with a clear head. I don't think that Capcom Vancouver should helm the next project. Maybe they should get more influence from Eastern developers before continuing.
I would say find another development group who was like Capcom Vancouver, which was previously Blue Castle. I
Yeah.
think they should find somebody like them again who have talent, who want to do something, and who have an idea or a vision for it. I think, I don't know who the new design director was for 4. I remember him being really cocky on Twitter, and then I remember him shutting his mouth suddenly after the game came out. So,
According to Croby Cat, these guys had no background resume that was good. They worked on Connect games
Yeah.
And sports as well.
and sports, so that was a bad choice.
I mean, I'll give them an E for effort. They probably tried, but
I mean, yeah, they tried though, but no,
Uh,
trying is the same thing as the
yeah.
execution.
When you stumble out the gate and break both your legs, normally if you're a horse, they take a shotgun to you. Just saying. Gonna leave that out there.
All right,
I'm done
I
with my
actually have
spiel.
2 questions after the next people.
Did Hades go yet on this?
No,
Go ahead.
I don't want Dead Rising to die, obviously, but like if 4 is what the evolution of the series is going to be, I'd prefer we just let it go.
I'd
And-
like more like 3. I like 3 a lot.
I like 3 too, but there's definitely some concepts from 3 I don't want back, like weapon lockers. I hated weapon lockers so much.
I can understand why they have them for certain modes, but yeah, most of the time it's like, this is completely unnecessary.
It's like, there's a boss, better go grab 2 Zars and I'll go end this thing real quick. Be done in like 5 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
You know what's funny though? I see an analogy that kind of fixes that paints the picture perfectly. Once you go at Halo 3, which is a good game, you never go Halo 4, which is universally mixed or a bad game, depending on you guys.
I'd say Halo Reach. But yeah, I understand what you're saying.
All right, now you got everybody went.
I'm gonna go.
All right,
Same. I wish I want the franchise to keep going, but like the freaking direction that they're going by simplifying the games, taking off the important parts of the game, like the timer on Dead Rising 4. Remember the timer?
Yeah,
okay,
I
now
remember.
the timer I could live without, admittedly, because I actually want to explore the game, like, have fun. Do other
Yeah.
stuff. I
Well,
could live
I think-
without that, honestly.
I like how Dead Rising, again, back to Dead Rising 3, it had both modes. You could have a timer, or you could go without the timer, you know?
Yeah, if they
Yeah.
made
I
that
love that.
again. Yeah, if they made that, then I'll be fine. Cause I like the timer, cause you feel like a rush, But I also like to explore, like Random said. So, but I just hope that Capcom learned their mistakes from 4, and then really go back to the roots, and just go and play those first 3 games, and hopefully they pick up on those.
All right, all good.
Go ahead, Brando.
Okay. Now, for if they make a Dead Rising 5 or whatever, do you think they should use a old protagonist or a new one? Because we already have 3 going from Frank, Chuck, and who's the other guy again?
Nick.
Nick?
Nick.
Yeah.
There's also... do you want me to be a nitpicky asshole? There's technically like 20 protagonists if we count the DLCs. That's the difference.
Oh my gosh.
Well, let's
Oh,
start
yeah.
with the main ones, okay? Start with
Okay.
the main ones. Now, if you want a new one, do you think you should have a new one? If you want the old ones, who should it be? Chuck, Frank, or Nick?
Damn.
Okay, I'll jump in on this one. If we're gonna go old, I'd want Nick because he has, without saying too much spoiler-wise, he has more of an interesting backstory. I mean, admittedly, Frank has, he's done a lot in his history, and so has Chuck. But there's a lot more you can explore with the events of Nick and everything that happened before Dead Rising 3, and everything that could happen after. I'd like to see what they're gonna do with that.
Go
I
ahead.
prefer a new one.
I would say I would not mind a mix of both because even though RE6 was like universally hated, I like the fact that that game blended in new characters with old ones. It was, they could bounce stuff off of each other, and it was an interesting dynamic. So I would like to see new characters mingle with like older ones and probably get their experience on how they killed zombies over the years, find out what they're doing now, and have them all bunch into a game where there's like co-op potential, because I think that should be the future of the series going forward.
Also, you want Resident Evil 6 with like all the old or new characters.
I would
you
like
seem
I would
like
like a blend of
both.
both.
Yeah. Kind of like how you get Leon with what's her name?
Helena.
Helene.
I completely forgot. And then Piers and
Chris.
yeah, Chris. It's been so long since I
Ashley.
played that game.
Nothing super over the top, but just something that fits in a Dead Rising scenario where it's like, they go in the city and they try to investigate some shit, and then afterwards the gameplay just goes bonkers. It seems like it would fit more in that game than Resident Evil 6 did.
Yeah.
Alright, to get my take on it, for me, I want to see more Chuck. Not only is my favorite character though, we have too much of Frank. We have in one,
Oh, yeah.
we have a remake, non-canon remake of 2 with him in it. We have 4 now. We have DLC pack in 2 with him in it, but no Chuck, of course.
Yeah, it was him and Chuck.
So I'm like, yeah, we have enough Frank for a while. Let him we have him 3 as well. We have enough of Frank, so let him take a.
Well,
back-
3 is a side DLC.
Yeah, I'm like, let him be on the back burner for a while. Let other characters come in, take some spotlight, like Chuck or Nick. I know nothing about Nick, so I can't comment on him. But I would definitely like to see more of Chuck because, again, he's one of my favorite characters.
Yeah,
Throughout
I
the franchise.
I think the only reason Capcom did that was because they knew that Frank was a fan favorite and fans were complaining about it.
Yeah. I can see that.
But yeah, I see your point. Did anyone else go?
Like Ren's answers, just I want a mix, cause like I just want some new character to show like how they got affected by the outbreak and learn their motives and like especially mixing with the older characters if they ever like decide to put them in there, like if Nick or Frank or even Chuck just team up together and just take over of the zombies, take care of them.
Oh yeah.
I
Alright.
would prefer. Sorry, I haven't gone yet.
Go ahead.
I would prefer a new person because if they're gonna ruin anything, I prefer they just ruin a new character. So Dead Rising 4, I kind of got the feeling that Vic was actually supposed to be the playable character, but they realized
I felt that too.
yeah, I mean she follows the naming convention to the K at the end, but it's like they've probably realized this game is so different from Dead Rising. Let's just bring Frank back, so at the least we have something familiar. But yeah, new person for me, preferably.
Alright, so moving on to question number 7. Dead Rising is known for a plethora of additions in their sequels, like crafting weapons, co-op, and making zombie variants. What was your favorite and least favorite update to the formula?
Ooh, I got
This is a hard one. Go ahead.
I would say my favorite is possibly the on the go combo building from Dead Rising 3. I love the safe rooms and all that, but there's something really intense about having to quickly make something in the moment, I like how hectic that is. Least favorite is the exosuits. Not for any real reason other
They
than
are
it
so
just-
OP.
it feels so out of place. It feels like, oh hey, I'm just gonna get in a mech suit and suddenly turn this into Armored Core where I shoot at zombies, and then hey, it blew up after like a minute and a half. Okay, this isn't how exosuits work at all.
Okay, so favorite additions to the series. I definitely liked the crafting. It was good putting together these crazy combinations from Dead Rising 2 and making all these weapons like lightsabers, the paddle saw, that was pretty awesome. The knife gloves, I think there was more, like you can make the Blanca head with the electricity ball with the what was it, the conductor, and throw it at enemies. You could also take like this giant roller cage with electricity and throw it at people as well. So it was really interesting, the combinations you could come up with the combo cards. My least favorite edition would have to be definitely the exosuits, and it just looked way too funny, out of place, and overpowered. I just didn't like it. Like at first it looked crazy, and I was like, okay, I see what they're doing here, but it lasts only about a minute, so it seems pointless.
Yeah. It would have been something neat to find. Is like something you can just, just something random, something like you'd actually find in the other Dead Rising.
Like
games.
an Easter egg or something.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if you found like something like an exosuit in Dead Rising 2. It'd feel more rewarding than just having them suddenly out somewhere.
Yeah. So
And
go ahead.
it was a huge part of the advertising, also.
I remember it was in every trailer, like every single trailer you saw an exosuit, and I was like, "Holy shit!" And then I remember like you could strap on like these water gallon tanks and make giant ice tornadoes, and I'm like, "What the fuck?"
Wow.
That was pretty. Admittedly, it was pretty cool to do that first time.
Yeah, it
it's
looks
so
fun, but
overpowered
still.
that like it's the only thing most people do.
I think if there were just like maybe different types of zombies that could battle you, like maybe a bloater, a fat zombie that could blow you up and you take
licker?
damage. Yeah, well, no, you get out of here with that.
There you go.
But just different monsters.
Crossover.
Maybe it could liven up the fact that if you use the exosuit, then you will still take damage maybe from a greater enemy.
You know what I wanted them to seriously do, and I never did during the game? I wanted them to throw like 30 zombies at me in an exosuit, like giant ones in the suits also. Throw those at me. That'd be a challenge. Everything else was it was so easy with that thing.
It would be a nice stress test for the frame rate as well, because that would be pretty crazy to see that on screen.
Oh yeah. Although it does surprisingly have the best frame rate on Xbox, considering the series.
I have not played it, so I cannot be the judge for the PC port.
I've heard the PC port runs, to mince words, like ass.
Oh,
So-
it's a dead frame rate.
Dad frame rate.
Yeah. Oof.
Alright, so has Mr. Hayes gone yet?
Combo weapons would be my favorite, obviously. I think they just worked really well for the series, and I don't know if it counts, but my least would be like when they added in survivors that you would just find like stranded somewhere, and then you had to rescue them, and they would just run off instead of you having to escort them back. Not a fan of that.
I wish it wasn't done so much in Dead Rising 3. I'm okay with it, just it's overdone.
Survivors were so stupid in the first game. It's unreal. Oh my god.
Oh, yeah. It is nice to see they can
Oh.
actually move on their own.
Actually, I have a rant on the survivors. The very opening of Dead Rising 1 was the most stupid thing I ever seen. They have an old lady just going out looking for her doggy
Oh,
next to
please
zombies that
don't.
can kill her. Like, no, I'm sorry, that's stupid.
Yeah, I
Stupid.
agree with you with that.
She was the
Yes.
reason why everyone got attacked in the whole mall.
Exactly. She deserved to die.
She screwed Vapooch, unironically.
Cause of a freaking dog, seriously.
Everyone
Wow.
hates the old lady, confirmed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Randy's is stupid.
If only Frank had just shot her in the beginning and made it all easier on everybody else.
Yep.
Well,
Alright.
for me,
Go
well,
ahead.
for me, like crafting definitely was my favorite because, like, I didn't expect it until I saw the trailer. I'm like, holy crap! You can like make different kind of weapons into one, and it's really fun, and you can go crazy on them. Definitely if it's on sandbox mode. But my least favorite has to be that those freaking mech suits, whatever you call them. It just feels out of place in there. Like, it'd be nice if it was like an unlockable after you beat the game, but not like, oh, you can get it while you're playing it. It just doesn't feel like less rewarding, and it will get old real quick.
If anything, it's trying to be like Saints Row with over the topness, because we
Yeah.
know that Rising's over the top, but Saints Row is like what?
Yeah.
It's like super. Oh, it's like you could beat people with giant purple dildos in that game.
Oh yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So.
I'm surprised the exosuit they didn't give one of those horse dildos out.
Oh my god, no.
Or freaking like a dildo weapon, like you can bash the fucking zombies out.
You could do that
Those
in
are
Dead
in
Rising
2,
too.
actually.
They are
Yeah.
in 2.
Yeah, you can make a
Doing
dildo cannon
the-
even.
That thing is,
No,
that
but
thing
like
is so much fun.
like a big sword, like kind of how the dildo.
A
thing was
big
messed
floppy cock sword.
I
Yeah.
like how this conversation devolved into dildo weapons and Dead Rising. Very, very
Yeah, I know.
rich.
Yeah,
Very
that's
rich.
that's what Dead Rising devolves into most of the time.
All
What
right,
can I
so
mix with what, you know?
Yeah.
moving on to number
Slap
8.
'em.
Moving on to number 8. How do you personally feel about the timer in the Dead Rising series, which some people have mixed feelings about? Personally, it doesn't bug me too much, but I do like the fact that they have modes where you can play with the timer off, like Sandbox, and off the record, because that was pretty cool to go wherever I want without a time limit really bothering me.
Oh yeah. I personally I love the timer. It adds sort of this air of like you know that you have to hurry, you have to get everything done in time. But again, those features like sandbox mode or I forgot the title of it was in Dead Rising 3. It was like I think it was like casual mode, which is kind of funny the way they worded that. I like the ability to just have it off and be able to explore and look at the scenery and all that. I think it's pretty fun.
Anyone
Well,
else?
Well, for me, like at first I hated the timer on the first one, but then as I get better, like I didn't mind it. Like to the point that I use that timer, like kind of try to make it like a speed run of it. Try to beat like the timer before he beats me. But it's also good to have like sandbox mode so you can like explore the place there and like, or if you want to look for a certain weapon and you're trying to memorize like the locations, that'd be nice for that too.
What about you, Hades?
I've always loved the timer just because it like gave you like an actual sense of urgency within the game. Because like I've always thought it was weird in games how like maybe there's like some big impending force coming to destroy the world, and you can just like fuck about as much as you want. You know, you can just sit in the dirt and make daisy chains for like 3 days, and nothing will change. And that's what's cool about Dead Rising. It's just like people aren't going to hold out against these zombies forever. You got to save them within X amount of time. You know, like Joe Slade, for instance, when her boss battle first shows up, she has 5 survivors with her, but as time goes on, she kills up to 4 of them, and you're only left with 1. So the quicker you get there, the more people you can rescue, and that's what I like about it. There's like consequence to your messing about, you know.
Yeah. Mr. Brendan?
For me, I actually don't like the timer because it's a sandbox game. I want to explore. I want to do objectives. Having a timer that for speedrun purposes, I understand, but for exploratory and gameplay purposes, no.
I mean, I can see that. Like I said, I liked when the series progressed to the point where you could have both, which is quite weird to see certain games like either remove it or take it out or alter it in a sense. But I really liked sandbox mode, and I really liked the fact that in Dead Rising 3 you could choose to do without it, which is pretty cool. Like, options are very important in video games, and I think that is a prime example.
Oh yeah.
All right, so if we're done with that, we can move on to the next one, which is what is your favorite and least favorite story aspects from the Dead Rising series? Very easy for me. Least favorite, that bitch that opened up the mall, that old lady, fuck her.
Oh yeah.
Favorite would be I like the relationship between Frank and Isabella. It was pretty cool to see that progress over the series and progress to the point where we get to Dead Rising 3, where I don't want to spoil it for people who didn't play it, but there is some big stuff that happens with Isabella, so be on the lookout for that.
Yeah.
Which that'll be my least favorite. I gotta explain something there.
Go
Is
ahead.
it right if I go?
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite is the Carlitos Orphans plotline. If you know anything about that from the first game, it is very intriguing. The kind of sort of backup plan that Carlito had, just in case.
You're
either
talking about
he
the
died
plants,
or
the plants
Yeah,
for
the
the zombies
plants.
all over country.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it does tie into one of the later games, without saying too much. I thought it was really intriguing. That's a really good way for a villain to, keep something in his pocket if he has to. I like that. My least favorite thing is Case West sort of being retconned.
Oh,
It's
really?
Yeah. If you know anything about the plot of Case West, it explains why the outbreak in Las Vegas happened, and the one before Dead Rising 2, and why Fortune City's outbreak happened. And it
Case
was
Zero?
going Case West. Well,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So everything in that one was starting to lead up to something big for 3, and then 3 basically just re-explained it in a different place.
That's so
which
weird.
which has some. By the way, the same 2 characters from Case West show up and do the same thing in case on Dead Rising 3. I just kind of hate that they retconned that. I'm like, oh man, that was setting up for something really big. And then Dead Rising 3, which I thought was the big thing, and then turns out it was the big thing, but also not. So yeah,
We have been duped.
a little
Yeah.
bit. It was still worth $10, but man, it was weird.
Well, for me, my favorite aspect is the Chuck Green protecting his daughter. Like he would do anything for his daughter, cause that's what fathers are. Especially like in Zero, like at first when you get to know Chuck and how he is, I'm like, oh, he's the father that would do anything to protect Katie. And then in the second one, then you definitely see that Katie was still alive the whole like along, and Chuck just would do anything for her. Like when he played Terrorist Reality, even though people like to shit on him, he didn't care. He just did it for his daughter.
Oh yeah,
And my least favorite is like is how you said it about the Case West thing.
oh
Like
yeah,
it was getting good until the climax, and I'm just like, is that all we got? Like there could have been way more than that. But
oh yeah. Although for $10, I mean, it could have been a lot worse.
yeah, it was fun for what it was. It's just the climax was just man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, for me, is actually the involvement of Chuck and his story arcs in the series. So and also my least favorite though is admittedly Case West. I mean not Case West. Off the record. I just hated how they just. I know it's a non-canon though, but it went out of the way to make a new game around Frank just to please some people, and I won't start mention. Now the thing
Yeah.
that did get to me is what they did to Chuck. They turned him into a psychopath.
I thought that was kind of an interesting twist,
Yeah,
though.
yeah, that's the thing,
Same.
though. It was interesting though, but at the same time, I didn't like it because I liked what they did for him as a protagonist. I understand
Yeah.
how because and I imagine off the record, his daughter did get eaten by that zombie you see in the beginning of Dead Rising 2.
It was
She
pretty
did.
sad. It was pretty sad to see that psychopath Chuck, because like I said, he would do anything for his daughter, but he don't want to admit that he failed that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was like
It
I
was
didn't like.
sort of a tragic one.
Yeah,
It was.
to me, that scenario was basically showing Chuck like what would happen if he failed his mission in protecting his daughter, because I think the game did not convey it too well when you actually let Katie turn. Like you get a cutscene, she turns, then all the cases are over and that's it. And it's like I thought it would be more to it, but I remembered the whole child thing and maybe they can't show it, so that's what I
Yeah.
thought. But yeah, it was a pretty cool twist, but I can see why people don't like it because definitely the Dead Rising 2 off the record scenario that definitely catered to people who just really liked Frank and they made a lot of changes for that.
Yeah, like it's not a bad what if though. But I personally didn't like it. That's all.
Yeah. Not a bad game, but it has some changes that might be a little bit suspect. All right, so let's move on to the next one. Number 10, Dead Rising had many add-ons and expansions for DLC for the series. Have you played any of them, and what was your experience?
Ooh.
Oh man,
Ooh, it's gonna be long.
Who want to go first? Because I'm pretty brief.
I've played them all, so mine would be the longest probably.
Go ahead.
I really loved what they did with Dead Rising 2s. I think they did fantastic with that. They're still exclusive on Xbox, but there's easy ways to play them still. So I recommend trying at least Case Zero if you want to know about a lot of the early stuff for Frank, Chuck. I mean, but yeah, Dead Rising 2s they're fine. If you haven't played them, play them. If you can't, sorry, but they're great. Dead Rising 3s was very intriguing, but they weren't that good. Except for Super Ultra Dead Rising 3 EX plus Alpha.
Oh
Arcade
my
Edition.
god.
The exaggerations.
That is one of the greatest things I've ever experienced, and I love it. It is so much fun if you haven't had a chance to try it.
Well, you like Trap Cammy and Trap Felicia?
Wasn't Frank Cammy?
Yeah, Frank is Cammy.
Oh
Oh,
my
God.
god, no.
It is
Yeah.
seriously so much good. It's so fun. There's Chun-Li, all these costumes. And it's a fun co-op version. If you have 3 other friends and you all have Xbox Ones, because it's not even think it's on PC, is it?
No, it's not, unfortunately.
But it's worth the price of admission. Get it. It is so much fun.
Only reference to Dino Crisis I've seen in years, too.
Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah. Oof.
That's another
But,
podcast
yeah.
for another day.
I need a drink before that one.
Oh my god.
But it is nice, and in fact, it also boggles my mind a little bit. They have a perfectly good Frank West model from that. What the fuck did they decide to do with Dead Rising 4's model? I don't get it.
I have no idea. All I remember is there was a point where Frank was fat, and it was funny.
Oh. Even in Watchtower, he was fat. That's like a little bit chubby.
I
He's
like
always
that.
had the dad bod, to be honest. Like he should.
like-
Except in forward, he was like ripped to shit for some reason.
Yeah,
I like
in
the
4,
better.
he almost looks like
Leon
looks like
as
a
Frank.
Bruce Campbell knockoff. Like
This
early
man is
Bruce
like-
Campbell knockoff.
He's 50. He doesn't look 50 either, which
He
is
is
weird.
52 in Dead Rising 4, which he looks damn good for 50. I'll be
He-
honest.
He looks really good for his age, honestly.
He
But-
tried to be like Ash Williams, like the badass old dude.
I love how Ash Williams looks in the new TV series.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Having to wear a girdle.
But anyway, I think back on topic for expansions, Off the Record would be the only one I played because remember the expansions for Xbox were exclusive and they still are.
Yeah.
So I played Off the Record and I really did enjoy it. It felt like a great side game to Dead Rising 2 for what they did, and they put in some actual effort into making it a cohesive game. I did see the trailers for the DLC, and overall I liked how K0 was. It gave you a taste to the game, and I think you could carry over. Couldn't you carry over your level to the main game?
Yeah,
Up to level like 5 or 10, I think it was.
level 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not so bad. So it's little incentives like that that makes the game really worth playing, even if it is just DLC.
Well, I played Case Zero and Case West. So, when I was hyped for Dead Rising 2, and then when they announced Case Zero, I was like, holy crap, we get to get like a preview. I like that. I like how they handle the preview to it, and then with Case West, when you wanted more out of Dead Rising 2, and then they announced, oh, Case West is gonna come out, and it's after Dead Rising 2. So, it was worth it and fun for what it was.
Oh, and really quick on the Dead Rising 4 DLC, it sucks. The mini golf DLC is the worst thing I've ever experienced.
Oh, you surprised?
Oh, the mini golf
Yeah.
DLC. Oh my god, I remember.
Here's the problem, right? It's not even good mini golf.
Jesus Christ. Then.
Like hot golf, hot shots.
I would take the new Hot Shots golf, which I haven't really looked too into, but it's like, oh, it's kind of neat. I would take that. If I had to pay $150, I'd still take that over the mini golf in Dead Rising 4.
Damn.
I
So
have
bad.
I have a side question actually.
Yeah.
Has anyone here played Frank Rising?
I
No.
have. Um, I'm sorry. I bought it and all the DLC, and I didn't even realize how bad it was going to be because I didn't look at the trailers too much.
How was it?
Yeah,
That's all we
That's
need
my
to
only
know.
answer.
Yeah.
yeah.
Is it just like the Xbox game, the one you use a zombie or something?
Stubbs?
It's no.
Yeah.
I wish it was like Stubbs. I fucking love that game. It's basically just Dead Rising 4, but hey, you're a zombie and you can shoot acid, and then suddenly you're not a zombie anymore.
Wow.
You get
I-
better.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know something though. I remember a certain someone trying to argue that that's not true ending, or they're not locking the true ending behind the DLC or something.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
But
I don't remember if that
Frank,
was me or not. Was I drunk?
no, it wasn't. It was someone else. But Frank lives, so that would be
Yeah.
actually the resolution to Dead Rising 4.
So it's
Oh,
a true ending, and
God.
they locked it behind a paywall,
Yeah,
which is true.
There's
Yeah.
3 endings to it. There's one where if you fail missions in time, you just time out and game over. There's a bad ending, which is really fucking dumb, and the canon ending, which is where you leave. You leave the city.
That DLC breaks all conventions too, because I don't think there's ever been a person in Dead Rising that turned into a zombie and they immediately went back to human.
Well, it's explained by Barnaby's
Yeah.
lab, which in Dead Rising 4 is essentially the like the MacGuffin lab of the thing. Barnaby has a lab in the city, which somehow is still around after a firebombing. I think is it not a surface level? I don't remember if it was surface level or it was in like some area.
It
But-
looked underground.
I can't remember. I'm trying to block the game out of my head still. Um,
That's how traumatizing it was.
it was bland, which I cannot say about anything else. Honestly, even Chop Till You Drop wasn't as bland as Dead Rising 4 is.
And I heard the soundtrack. There wasn't much of it.
It sounded like somebody just took a stock sound effect, like stock soundtrack, and copied and pasted.
Sucks that they have cell weather like always, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2's soundtrack was awesome, man.
Yeah, I love it.
Even one had a great soundtrack, like some memorable tunes in there, especially
Right.
the stupid convicts. Oh,
Ganguru, hell yeah.
yeah. I no matter what, they were super annoying. I will remember that song.
Oh yeah. If only because it struck fear into my heart whenever I heard it and I had to sprint around.
Yes.
Okay, I got a side question.
Go ahead.
Like, whenever you guys played the first time Dead Rising, right? And you
Yeah.
didn't realize there was gonna be an overtime mode. How was your reactions?
That
I
was
was-
pretty cool.
I was pleasantly surprised. I was like, oh wow, alright.
It was like, yeah, the game continues on even though it felt like it ended because the helicopter crashed and
Yeah.
Frank was like, there was no hope and I thought he was gonna die, and then the game continued and I was like, oh, that's pretty awesome actually. It's like an episode within an episode.
Oh yeah. It felt it felt like you were in like a mental rush, and then once you suddenly got to overtime, you're like, okay, all right, now I can finally kick in overdrive essentially.
Yeah, because like when I first played the game, right, and then the whole helicopter crash, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Is this gonna be it? Like, really? And then I let the credits play and all that, and then you play another cuts. I'm like, oh wait a minute, are we gonna
There's
get
more to
like a
this.
true ending?
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
nice little ruse.
And
It's
I think it was smart they did that.
it's like giving you a false sense of hope.
Yeah.
But
Alright.
yeah, I liked it.
So I guess we could move on to the next question. That's number 11.
Wait, I actually didn't go on the other last question because
Oh, go
everybody
ahead.
else did.
Go ahead, sir.
Basically, the only one DLC I played was the prequel to 2.
Okay, it's 0. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only one I played, and I had fun with it though, but I didn't find everything, nor did I care to.
That's fair
I just
enough.
to be quite honest with you, because I found the main game to be so much better.
It was actually.
Alright.
I have to agree with that.
So
So-
I mean, it was designed to really give you like a taste of everything to into it. Which,
Oh yeah, definitely.
admittedly, $5 for what is essentially a demo does feel kind of like MGS5 Ground Zeroes a little bit. Not as much as that game cost at first, but yeah.
But to that game's credit, though, at least you had more content to do. There's a lot to do afterwards, so
Yeah.
take how you will.
Okay.
All right.
I like Ground Zeroes, but
It's alright. I just think it was overpriced, but that's another story. So we're moving on to number 11. How do you feel about the Dead Rising remastering process and Capcom's work on those? I think they did a decent job. There's some stuff that they didn't fix, like the whole frame rate issue when you hit a zombie and it slows down a little bit with certain weapons. But overall, also there's some screen tearing from what I saw, a slight, but it's still there. Other than that, it's pretty solid. Like no other problems really.
I liked it a lot. I bought Dead Rising 1 again because I figured that's the one I'm gonna replay the most, and I was impressed with the 60 frames per second cap on console and just how everything looked and worked. I always get worried with ports just in case, you know. I bought the Silent Hill HD collection, and boy, I don't know if you remember that one, but
Terrible, awful. Oh my god.
you have a discussion on that one. I'll spend an hour talking about how awful that was.
I'll just say that these remasters are definitely far superior than those.
Oh yeah.
Anyone else?
Well, for me, I like that it was decent. I just wish they fixed the AI on the first one because we all know how that is.
Oh.
And then the shoppiness of the little thing when you have the weapon holding and it shows a little shoppiness. I'm like, what the hell? Like that kind of freaked me out, but they did a good job with Dead Rising 2. Man, it runs so good and it feels like you can do more now, like the speeds and shit.
All right.
Yeah, Dead Rising 2 I haven't played, but I think Satilia said that Off the Record is kind of borked online.
Yeah.
But other than that, he
heard
said that everything else was okay.
I haven't tried the co-op in Dead Rising 2, the port, but I know Terror's Reality was pretty good on the port, so...
Oh, Terror is Reality. Isn't that the one where you have the mini games and you have to do
Yeah.
certain things, you have points?
I wish we had more murder minigame style games. That'd be perfect.
I tried to play that, but I guess not a lot of people are playing it, which sucks.
Yeah, which is weird. I bought it on launch day and nobody was playing it.
It sucks because there's trophies for Terror is Reality. I think I got them all, though. I got lucky because I played at launch.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it's one of those things when the game first originally came out, everybody played it, but now the game's like a little too old for most people, so they won't play the multiplayer, but they'll play the single player. It's weird.
I'll have fun trying to platinum that, I guess.
Oh,
You can play with friends, probably, if they have it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
Or
there's-
boost.
There's people, like, there's groups, like Discord groups for it, so...
Yeah, I'll look around though.
Alright, so we have the final two questions. I'm just going to bunch them together into one. What was your favorite and least favorite psychopath? And to close off this podcast, what is your opinion on Frank West, and has he covered wars, you know? Favorite psychopath and least favorite. I would say my favorite is definitely Adam. Least favorite, I didn't like Brock. I thought he was a pain in my ass at first, and he was really annoying with the neck grab. He was the final boss in overtime for one. I would say Frank West, what I think of him is, I think he can be, as perceived as a character, he can be a little bit overrated. He's just an average dude in a situation where there's zombies. He can be kind of an asshole, but I think that's his charm. Like he's just this
he's him.
He's him. He's this over glorified, prick in this situation and he has to get out of it. At first, he fights for himself. He doesn't care about anyone else but the scoop. But then he grows as a character, which I really liked. So he's an alright protagonist compared to most people.
I would agree on that one. Favorite psychopath? I'd have to say Kent, because he's one you learn the most about. I think you start off as friendly with him, and then you start to see who he actually is, and then it starts to become a little bit more interesting with that.
Oh yes, it does. I remember the boss fight actually. Yeah.
I love that boss fight. I love the ending to it. I think he's the most intriguing psychopath. Least favorite. I'm trying to think of that. What's that one from Dead Rising 3? There's a one chick from Dead Rising 3 who I cannot
Talking
remember
about
the name
that
of.
Russian lady, that Russian
Yes.
outfit.
Yeah, I hated fighting against her. She
The
Sergeant
muscle lady.
German. Sergeant
Oh, she was Russian.
Hilda, yeah. And she was the most annoying one to fight. I hated her. Glad she died.
It's a shame too, though, because no, you could have typed that, but that's a story.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'd smash it. I'd tear it up.
Yeah,
It's
see,
been-
But
It's been
tear it up.
smashed.
similar to how Joe was from Dead Rising, but I actually liked fighting her. So yeah.
What about you, Mr. Antihero?
My favorite psychopath. Man, this is a tough one. There's a lot, but my favorite psychopath that I like to fight is Brandon, cause one, the theme song of it. I love the theme song.
Oh, you mean the hobo?
I ain't crazy. What you talking about?
That,
You mean- You mean
Cure.
the hobo? Yeah.
yeah,
he's
Cure, yeah. And
Yeah,
two,
the-
because he's
When his
snapped.
name is Brandon, remember Brandon when we fought him in the co-op campaign?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, Brandon, he just snaps and he just goes crazy, dude. And he fucking uses a glass try to kill you and shit. I'm like, holy shit, this guy's the craziest psychopath I've seen.
Yeah, I'm crazy, alright.
Yeah, it's fun, and he fucking goes to a fucking bathroom stall and comes out of the other. I don't know how the fuck he does that, but whatever, game logic. But my least favorite has to be fucking Sullivan.
Oh,
Sullivan
Sullivan, the final
He's a
boss.
pain in the ass, dude. Like whenever you try to whenever you get close to him, he does this counter thing and throws you down to where the zombies are at. It gets annoying trying to get up there to the floor. I hate that.
Yeah,
and,
I don't know how that old man is like a secret agent and can kick your ass, but
I know.
apparently he does, yeah.
And
Got lucky.
about Frank West, one of my opinion. Frank West, I think I was surprised that Capcom decided to get like an American protagonist, because Capcom they always have like Japanese protagonists, but no, they decided to make like an American one, and they did a good job at it too. But
I think, like, just to play devil's advocate, they do have, like, American protagonists for Resident Evil, but the thing here is, Frank is the most American guy you can think of, because
Yeah.
he's an average Joe in this
Yeah.
situation. Like, the other people in Resident Evil, they turn into, like, super agents. Chris is in the military. They have all this
Cop and a girl
experience.
who on a motorcycle suddenly turned into FBI agents and
But-
Yeah, all this shit in the series. So Frank is like pretty consistent with each game. So yeah, except for
Hey,
Yeah.
even before he's not like a superhero or a
He is in Marvel vs.
CIA
Capcom.
fair point. But he's just beating like Rocket Raccoon up. I mean that's
But
an
Rocket
average day.
Raccoon
for
has
him.
guns, okay? You don't mess with that thing.
Frank
But-
has a shopping cart full of knives.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, intimidating.
Okay, it's time for the death battle. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what I meant, Ren. That he's just a regular guy, that you can relate to, because he's just regular, and he evolves into as the story goes on, and especially after Wrecker, like it shows like he's kind of like a has been, but he's trying to win his glory back. I like that. I like how they develop even more. Like, he's still the same old Frank that can be a smartass, but then he starts to care about other people as well. So in overall, Frank West, he's a good protagonist, and he's like the heart and soul of Dead Rising.
I agree with that. Mr. Brando, how about you?
About Frank, I can agree he could be somewhat overrated though, but I think it's more or less he's more overexposed than other characters. So a lot of people
Yeah.
do like Chuck, and they want to see him in Marvel's Capcom. But
Yeah, make that happen.
Yeah.
but yeah, he started a franchise, sure, but he's okay. He's okay.
What about favorite and least favorite psychopath?
I haven't thought about that too much honestly, because I never really paid attention to them. I just kill some redneck hillbillies in 2. I'm like, yeah, boy. But
Well,
my least favorite is admittedly, my least favorite is the guy with the freaking motorcycle. I hate doing that fight.
Oh, you're talking about Leon Bell?
Oh,
Yep.
yes, Leon S. Kennedy.
that jerk dude. He's so freaking jerk.
Yeah, he's annoying, but get him stuck on something and he's easy as piss.
Yeah.
All right. And I think we are going to close off this podcast. It was a great and decent discussion. I would like to thank all you guys for coming. We're going to do outros now. We're going to start with, of course, I'm going to outro Hades because he went to work. So you can find him on YouTube at Video Games Ho, and you can find him on Twitter at Hades_Manticore. Now we have Mr. Bane. Where can we find you?
Well, I'm working on some new YouTube projects. My title of the YouTube, and I'll text it so you can put it in the link in the description. I'll just leave it in the description for you. That'll be fine. Twitter, you can find me at Bane for you, FORYU, and yeah.
Mr. Brendan?
I'm currently working on a name change. I got multiple ones in progress, but for now it's Arcane Magic 514 on Twitter. And also, None Your Business.
All right, all right, Mr. None Your Business. All right. Next up, we have Antihero.
You can find me at Twitter at AHC3D. I don't do much. I just like and retweet and all that crap.
And you can find me on YouTube at Renegade Operative. You can find me at Twitter at RenOperative_. I will be working on some stuff. Tomorrow is Paris Games Week, so there's going to be a live stream of that on the channel, so you can see. I think it's going to be pretty fun. We had fun talking about Dead Rising. Hopefully...
Wait, hold on. Before you cut it though, have you ever found it weird that every time a cutscene happens, the zombies disappear?
Yeah, that is pretty strange.
I can explain that, at least from what I've been told. The way Dead Rising works is the cutscene is in a completely different instance.
Oh, so basically logic. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, shut up. Don't answer it.
Yeah, it's like things happen in the cutscenes that doesn't reflect well on the gameplay. There's like several instances of that happening, and it's very weird. But it's like, it's whatever. I just run with it.
Reminds me of Yakuza. Actually, the gameplay makes no correlation to reality in that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like they avoided a problem that the first Silent Hill game had. Looks like there's no dog around, as it suddenly pauses and there's 2 dogs right behind you about to tackle you.
That's always funny whenever you touch something and then the dogs is jumping in the air.
It's like, oh, if I press A right now or X, it's gonna suddenly have 2 dogs biting my ass.
Yeah.
But they do that so the moment you load out of a cutscene, there won't be like 1,000 zombies.
Yeah, it's super weird. It happens with the cult members sometimes too.
Oh,
doesn't make any sense. But we're gonna sign off here. Had a lot of fun discussion with Dead Rising, and stay tuned for the next podcast. We're gonna talk a lot about some Silent Hill stuff and Paris Games Week and all that. So stay tuned. We will see you guys next time. Later.
Bye.
Adios.